This is a cedar tree. It's specifically a flat cedar tree. And just like there's a lot of different kinds of sage, there's a lot of different kinds of cedar. This particular type of cedar is what we use in our ceremonies for getting rid of negative energies in an area. And each tribe has their own use, their own type of cedar. There's probably 50 tribes that use flat cedar, and each one would use it. One might use it for cleansing, one might use it for other things, but I can just share my experience, what I do. This particular type of cedar, the way I collect it is I go into a cedar forest and find where the squirrels have nipped off, like they'll nip off these right here, and while they're trying to get these little cones, not these little cones, but when they're full, and it'll fall to the ground, and so it's already dried and I can collect it and I'm not taking anything off the living tree. And I always give something back. I usually pull a little bit of my hair out and leave it there, or I can leave cornmeal or tobacco as an exchange to Mother Earth and to the spirit of this beautiful tree here. Oh wow, it's really loaded with, this is a female. She's just loaded with cones. And why I use it for getting rid of negativity, cedar is used like in cabinets to get rid of moths or protect clothing from bugs. Naturally, cedar has an ability to repel bugs. So in the spiritual realm, you might call negative spirits, not evil or bad spirits, but negative spirits as bugs, spiritual bugs. Now, there's nothing wrong with bugs, but they play a huge role in the health of the world. But if you're having a picnic, and we'll consider a ceremony, for instance, as a picnic, a special place, you don't want bugs in your picnic. So you might like citronella candles or whatever. Well, in the spiritual realm, we don't want spiritual bugs, the more negative bugs or the more negative spirits, to be attending our picnic. So what we do is we burn the dried cedar, and the smoke of that sends out a message that all that negativity has to leave and go away. And it literally repels them and keeps them away from the ceremony. This is just one of the herbs or things that we use in ceremony to work with the spiritual realm. Everything, just like I'm a human being with a physical form, I'm also a spiritual being with a spiritual form. Everything is like that. This tree is a physical tree that I'm touching, but there's a spirit in this tree. And it's the spirit that runs through all things. But it's an individual tree. This tree actually has a conscious spirit within it. And that's one of the reasons I wouldn't pick one off of the tree, because I realize the tree can feel that. So anyhow, some of the other herbs we use during a ceremony to prepare, cleanse, is we use what's called longleaf sage. Some people call it Sundance sage or grandfather sage. And the leaves, we'll try and find some, but the leaves, you can roll it up in a ball in your hands, very fibrous, and even though it's dry, it doesn't crumble. And the smoke from that is like water. It's like spiritual water. And we use that to wash our hands and our heads and our hearts up. And any implements we're using, if we're having a ceremonial drum, we would put the smoke of sage all over it so it would cleanse it. Just like you're cleansing a spatula before using it to cook a picnic meal. So we would use the sage for that, the smoke from the sage, the smoke from the cedar to repel negativity. And then we use the smoke of sweetgrass, the braids of sweetgrass, although I don't burn it in a braid usually. The smoke from that acts as a homing signal for the spirits you're going to invite to the ceremony. And specifically, there's some spirits that really, really like sweetgrass smoke. The thunder beings are one. So it's not unusual to be required to burn up an entire braid of sweetgrass if you're going to be working with the thunders. They kind of expect that kind of treatment, that kind of exuberance or extravagance, that's the word. So anyhow, the way that I do that, and I'll just finish with this, is I use a abalone shell. I put some salt or sand in the bottom so that the actual burning doesn't go down to the shell. That can produce a little bit of a toxic odor. It's not good for you. And I take a sweetgrass braid, I break it up, and I take it apart and I put it in the bottom of the shell, or on top of the salt. And then I take the cedar and put it on top of that, and then I roll up the ball of sage and I light it on fire and I put it on it. So as it progresses through and burns down through, it cleanses everything, it repels the negativity, and then by the time it gets to the sweetgrass, you're calling on the spiritual entities, the guardian angels, the guardian spirits to come and join you, and they smell that, and it's like a GPS system for the spirit world. The last thing I'll say about cedar is, to the Chalagi or the Cherokee people, the cedar is one of the most sacred. We're related to the cedar. We received fire from a cedar tree that had a fire burning inside of it. And cedar is the only tree that made it healthfully through what's called the long night. So we are considered relatives to the cedar tree. They're our grandfathers and grandmothers. We have a very strong connection with them. The Lakota are like that with the buffalo. They're kin to it. So this is my kin. So thanks.